For the longest time, Tarkov players dreamed when we would be able to just talk with one another casually and raid and go through the motions. Whether that was helping one another with quests, or just bantering between two people fighting, when VoIP was finally added to the game, it fundamentally changed how people engaged with one another. Granted, there were some concerns from people about music, poor language, and just general obnoxious abuse from players, but that was the least of everyone's concern. It was added to the game, it worked flawlessly, and yet here we are, a couple years after that addition, and it feels as though no one uses VoIP anymore. What was once such a cherished feature has just become another part of the game. So I wanted to ask the question of why players don't use VoIP as much, if at all anymore, and go over some of the reasons as to why this might be the case. So if you're an avid user of VoIP and like this discussion, be sure to subscribe for more videos. When it was announced that VoIP was coming to Tarkov, it was almost unanimously exciting across the entire player base. And while there were some concerns about its implementation and whether or not it would even function properly, those concerns were very quickly dashed because BSG did such a fantastic job with its initial rollout. You had to opt into it, there was a short time limit to speak, and people were very cordial with one another. It worked well, better than the actual audio systems in the game. People were running around, talking to one another on both PMCs and scavs. VoIP benefited everybody, but it was very potent on scavs. Working with one another, taking out bosses and other PMCs, it was genuinely a great time. Unfortunately, the use of VoIP has gone down considerably over time, at least on PMC runs. The newness of it has long since faded away, and people have gone back to their usual ways of engaging with Tarkov, which are of course shooting on sight with very little regard for the other person and what they might be saying. Now, to say that no one uses VoIP at all anymore is definitely wrong. I had an encounter very recently on Factory just talking to a dude before I was promptly killed by a third party who wasn't having it at all. So it still gets used by those who go out of their way and try and starting a conversation, but its use has certainly gone down by the masses, which is a real shame because it allows for incredibly interesting interactions and overall raid experiences. You know, those raids that are so awesome that you want to share it with your friends or maybe even online. But besides that one factory raid, the last time I used it on a PMC raid was, man, I can't even recall, it's been so long. So why is that? What happened that made VoIP not as enticing to use for so many? Well, I honestly don't have a single or even a couple of concrete answers for this question. People are just going back to the ways of shoot first and ask questions later. Many just want to run their raids, whether solo or with their friends, and not think too much about talking to people. Especially with so many kill quests, people are more inclined to work through those instead of just trying to be friendly with one another. Again, people still use VoIP. People are talking and messing with one another for sure. But before, when VoIP was fresh, it felt way more common to find someone wanting to talk for whatever reason. It's a shame that novelty has kind of worn off somewhat because many don't talk back when you try to say something. And what makes this fallout even worse is that some of those unsavory folks who play this game have made it a point to call out those who they can see when they shouldn't be able to. Again, this is a minority of people that play the game, but it would be wrong to at least not acknowledge this small group. Ultimately, it boils down to people being comfortable with their ways and not wanting to change their playstyle. Why try to VoIP with someone who might not want to engage with it at all? Which I get, I'm the same way. I like my guns that I use, I like the maps that I run, which is why most of the videos I use are always on customs, because I enjoy the map and am the most proficient at it. But I won't say no to a little cheeky VoIP interaction from time to time, especially with newer players. That's probably where my favorite use of VoIP comes from. It's helping out people who are new to the game and have genuine questions. That's when VoIP is always a wonderful time because you're helping people out and getting to chat with the denizens of Tarkov. There is always the possibility of a betrayal when it comes to VoIP. People are in it for themselves, and if they see you with some kind of massive big boy kit, they're more likely to try and take it for themselves. Even if they're being friendly and working with you, there's nothing to say that they won't put a bullet in you at the extract. It's happened to all of us at least once, come on man, let's be honest. Which, when this does happen, can be such a deterrent to even want to engage with this mechanic in Tarkov. The loss of gear hurts enough already, but to have someone else play the long game, all I'll say is, well played, and I hate you. So, if VoIP isn't being used as much, what can we do to bring it back into popularity? I guess the only answer is to just try and use it and give people as many positive engagements with VoIP as we can. Because if someone is getting help and things work out, they're more likely to spread that kindness to other people and try and spread that to as many people that they engage with as possible. If you're very invested in VoIP and you like using it and want to see it get continued use, try not to burn people so badly. We gotta show people that VoIP is still cool and the overall benefits of using it are very positive. It's honestly the only way people will be more inclined to try using it more than once. I don't know if people just don't interact with it, or they have it fully turned off so they can't even hear other people, but I always at least have mine on, because sometimes you meet people who are genuinely cool and either want to help, get some help, or just work together, which is the whole point of VoIP, and I really appreciate that it's still in the game, even if it's gone down in popularity. It adds another layer to the story that can be a Tarkov raid. You go into a raid and your goal is to do something, and you have to go into a building or highly contested area. You hear fighting, lots of guns and noises across the entire area. You cautiously walk in and someone starts talking to you, and you can create a tumultuous agreement to work with someone and get your respected quests done. And over the course of that raid, you get to know just a little bit about your new friend. Maybe you two plan to add each other after this raid and do some more games, and right before you get his name, bam! One of you gets flatlined and that's the end of your story together. Something about that situation is bittersweet, to say the least. A moment of companionship and camaraderie snatched away in the blink of an eye by a single bullet. Those moments always hurt, but at least you can say you had a positive VoIP interaction. And I think at the end of the day, that is what I'm advocating for. More of those kinds of stories and experiences. Maybe at the end, on a more positive note, maybe not, but you were able to talk your way out of a situation and meet someone genuinely cool. So, I ask that anyone playing Tarkov to give VoIP another shot, both on your PMC and your Scab. You might just make someone's day, and it even could be yours. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Let me know your thoughts about VoIP in 2023 in the comment section below, and subscribe for more videos about features that aren't being fully utilized anymore in Tarkov or any game really. I hope to see you in future ones.